Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a composer, an improvising trombone player, and a tutor on the NYO.
Hi, I'm Danushka, and I'm a cellist from NYO.
Hi, I'm Tarek. I'm also a cellist from NYO.
Hi, I'm Patrick, and I'm a violist from NYO.
Hi, I'm Brooke, and I play the double bass for NYO.
Hi, I'm Alice, and I play horn in NYO.
Hi, I'm Tom. I play the oboe in NYO.
Hi, I'm Ruby. I play flute in NYO.
Hi, I'm Anna, and I play the bassoon here in NYO.
Hi, I'm Viv, and I play flute for NYO.
So this workshop is called Building a Creative Voice, and it's aimed at instrumentalists who are looking to create a voice as a creative musician, in the same way that we might talk about a composer creating a voice as a composer, or an artist or a playwright or any kind of other creative musician. I am a composer and improvising trombonist, and for me this is quite handy because this frames a spectrum of creativity in our musical world. And at one end there's composing notated music, and at the other end there's improvising without any kind of notation, and also quite spontaneous. And then in the middle there's lots of stuff I'm really super interested in, and when composing is really quick on an instrument, or when improvising is really slow. And I'm hoping that everybody coming to this video will be somewhere on this spectrum, and this is really exciting, and I think this is lots of really exciting different ways to make music. What do we mean when we talk about a musical language?
I'd say a way of communicating with people through sound.
Great, that is a brilliant definition, a way of communicating people through sound. And that's really great because it draws upon the word language, which we use to communicate with people, and musical, which we translated into sound. Brilliant.
I'd say it's something that's not limited to like where you're from, or like again what language you speak. It's like a global thing that everyone can hear and can like relate to, despite where your background is.
Thanks. Yeah, I really like that idea because it's a really nice idea that the abstract languages that art and music are made in aren't limited to a specific culture or a specific place, though they also can be, but are connected to something deep inside our experience as humanity. If we're listening for aspects of musical language, what musical aspects would make a musical language? If we cut down our musical languages, what words could we use to describe them?
Things like pitch and rhythm.
Great, pitch and rhythm are musical parameters. Ruby?
Timbre.
Yeah, great.
Articulation.
Something I was thinking about the other day that I thought was quite interesting is the difference between like the idea of a musical language and like the musical words. I personally would argue that like articulation is perhaps more of like the words that we choose to put in our language, but maybe that's just me being I don't know.
Okay, you mean that it's like the difference between a sentence and a paragraph and something smaller. Yes, I agree. I mean, the whole thing that we're doing today, I think, is we're focusing in on this metaphor of musical language, and saying that actually a language is made up of very small things, and that's what we're going to do. So words. But I just wrote down some other parameters here because we've got pitch, rhythm, harmony, timbre, gesture, dramaturgy, the way the music engages with cultural associations, and all these things can go a long way to encompassing all the many broad styles of contemporary and old established musics that we can hear on our computers. I'm going to play a piece called A Parent Address to His Firstborn Son on the Day of His Birth by a wonderful folk singer called Richard Dawson, and he's a kind of progressive folk singer. So he's looking back in the way that lots of folk music does to a tradition and keeping a tradition alive, but he's also looking forward, and he's doing lots of stuff that sounds a lot more like contemporary and more avant-garde stuff. What I'd really like you to do when we're listening to these two pieces of music is to think of a tiny little gobbet, a tiny little mouthful of musical language that you can steal from any of these pieces and you think you would be able to use for your own music.
Fondly now we look upon thee, and marvel at thy gaze so clear, like stars reflecting on the water that flowed through time to carry you here. But what perils thou must pass through, as each approaching day shall fly. Firstborn son, may grace protect you, scatheless in temptation's hour.
Thanks, great listening. I have loved having that piece stuck in my head for the last few days. It is so joyful and refreshing. Can we just have a few thoughts about this? How did it feel? How did it feel? What did you think of it? Are there little bits of musical language that would be really useful to grab and steal and use for your own purposes? Ruby.
I really loved the drone. It gave a real like bagpipe kind of feel, and it really kind of just set the tone for all of the wonderful singing above from the rest of the chorus.
I liked how the heterophonic texture, it makes it just sound like people singing for like joy and just singing really happily, and I like how that texture sort of reflects the emotions.
I was going to say I liked how when there was like jumps between notes, sometimes it would kind of jump cleanly, but sometimes you'd have like a really smooth bend right up to the note and it would like join them up, and it was quite spontaneous as well sometimes when it happened.
We're going to listen to the track again, the Richard Dawson track again, and this time I would like you to play along with it. And I would like you to listen for those little gobbets of musical language, little mouthfuls of musical language that you had. And I'd like you to just experiment and see how you can start to play your instrument, to play your little things of musical language along with this track. I'm just going to show you some examples of something I made earlier. The big slide at the beginning of the chorus was something I wanted to focus in on to make a nice, straightforward example. And I've put that on my trombone and dragged it out creatively for the first verse.
Fondly now we look upon thee, and marvel at thy gaze so clear, like stars reflecting on the water that flow through time to carry you here.
Here is another example where I think this is the right one. I was just really tapped into that iambic rhythm in the verse. Ba, 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 ba. And I was playing it at kind of different speeds because that's the kind of thing that interests me.
We look upon thee and marvel at thy gaze so clear, like stars reflecting on the water that flow through time.
And this is another one where I was really trying to think about timbre. So if you're not really into notes, because lots of musicians aren't really into notes that much, if you're really into something more holistic about the sound, then see if you can, just on one note or a couple of notes, if you're a string player perhaps, see if you can make a timbral narrative. So not concerned about pitches, not concerned about rhythms, but just about the sound itself. If you're still not sure what to play, I've got some other suggestions. This piece is in G, mainly. So any note from a G scale is going to work smashing. Please, could I ask... Oh, let's have double bass. Brooke, can you play us a lovely G scale, please? That's wonderful. So any of those notes played in any order, in any rhythm, the whole way through are going to work. Oh, but hang on, Brooke, please, because I've got another scale for you that's also going to work. Because actually, what he's very beautifully playing with is where the G scale turns into G mixolydian scale. And that's really easy to do. You just lower that F sharp to an F natural. So it's a C scale starting on G. Could you just play us the same one but with the lowered seventh, please? Brilliant. And actually, when I was kind of playing around with some ideas, wondering if this piece would work, the one that I really love is playing around with that major and minor seventh. When we get to the chorus, the heterophonic bit, I'm going to put the melody up on the screen, and I'd like you to see if you can join in that heterophonic cloud of melody and harmony, and perhaps start off by playing the melody and seeing what improvisations or harmonies you can put in, or perhaps you don't want to play the melody at all and you want to make up your own melody. Okay, let's get on with it. So this time we're going to play again. We're just playing for our own benefit to try and work stuff out.
Fondly now we look upon thee, and marvel at thy gaze so clear, like stars reflecting on the water that flowed through time to carry you here. But what perils thou must pass through, as each approaching day shall fly. Firstborn son, may grace protect you, scatheless in temptation's hour.
Wonderful. You look fantastic. I can't wait to hear what ideas you were going to have. Could we just have a couple of comments of how that felt to explore material, to explore little gobbets of musical language on that?
Well, to be honest, I'm someone that's not really comfortable with improvisation from the start, but I found that really nice to do, which I wasn't expecting. I was expecting to be really scared. But it was nice. I think because there's all the voices that are kind of in front of each other or behind each other, kind of intertwining, it gave you the space to just breathe and kind of let your kind of instrument kind of do what it wanted and let it have its space, which I really like.
What is going to happen now is we are just going to go round each person in turn and have a listen to what sort of musical language they were exploring during this exercise.
was it like to use other people's ideas? And what was it like to bring out your own ideas in a place where other people can hear them?
I found like doing Patrick's really interesting because like we're using harmonics. Is that right? Yeah, because obviously like playing a horn very different, but we still use like the harmonic series is like a big thing. So I was thinking about like difference between like what harmonics mean to you and what like the harmonic series means to me as like a horn player. So I know I found that quite interesting, like just thinking about like translating between the instruments and stuff. So that was cool.
I really like Tom's particularly like use of the articulation and the high register and things. And for me, like playing on the piccolo, that was really fun to like just do a little like bubbles of kind of sound up there. It's really fun.
What is going to happen now is that we're going to take the original Richard Dawson recording and we're going to use that as a backing track. So we're just going to listen to it on our headphones, and we're all here, all 8 or 9 of us, are going to play along with the track. And this is the paper mache balloon head plan, because this is the paper mache that's going over the original Dawson track. And then we will pop the balloon, which is the Richard Dawson track, so we'll take the Richard Dawson track away, and all that we will be left with is what we're about to improvise on top of the Richard Dawson track now. Then I'm going to stick all these together and make a new backing track that we're actually going to keep. So this will be like the paper mache balloon head. And that backing track is going to be the basis for part 2 of this workshop, which we're doing in a few days' time, but you'll see in a few seconds' time. And what we'd like the Inspire musician applicants to do at home is to take part in the second part of our workshop, which we'll be demonstrating in a minute or so's time. And the second part of the workshop works as follows. We'll have this backing track that we made this week that in turn was made about the Richard Dawson track, and we are then going to compose / improvise new lines, new instrumental composition improvisations that will go over this backing track. And the task is to create something that will make musical sense, or perhaps not musical sense as we know it, but a different musical sense over this backing track. We're going to call this the protagonist line, because if the the Inspire applicants send something in, I'm going to mix it so that we can hear that protagonist line as a protagonist line. So it'll be a little bit higher in the mix. And a protagonist is usually a character in a book or a film or a play that's like the main character. And in music, it's sometimes fun to talk about bits of musical material and instruments also being the protagonist line. So that is what we would like you to do. We would like you, please, very much to make a protagonist line that will fit over this backing track.
The way I suggest you practice this is to listen to yourself and what kind of musician you are. And it may be that naturally you're kind of an improviser and you like to play a different thing every time. In which case, I suggest you practice this once a day, every day for a week or something like that. Some things you play, maybe you end up playing the same thing every time. And maybe that would be a great solo for you to record with headphones and send in to NYO. Or it could be that every time you improvise over it, it works out something different. This is probably what would happen to me, or somewhere a mixture of those two. And so send one of your favourite improvisations to NYO. Or it could be that improvisation's really not for you, but you really do have a really important creative thrust, and you could go away and compose something. Welcome back. We in the real world have grown older and aged and grown wiser. And we've heard the track that we did not hear before when you heard it. And then we grew wiser still. And we have been working on our improvisation / compositions that we haven't heard either yet. What were your thoughts about the product that we made last time? Alice?
I really felt like we'd got the whole difference between the verse and chorus. Like I really heard that, which was nice.
Hearing like all the different layers was really cool, but then also like looking at each like individual voice and also each person's like interpretation, but then like looking at like instrument specific, like the double stopping which obviously like, I can't do and other people can't do, but hearing their instruments do their own things and everyone's kind of exploring their own instrument. I thought that was really interesting to hear all overlapping.
How did you find it to work? How was it working on your own voice, on your own instrument, to try and create something that was to do with your musical voice over the top of this track that we made?
I found it really interesting because I'm one of those people who will write an idea down and then I'll sort of be thinking, oh, this is a really good idea, I can see how this fits in. And I'll leave it and I'll come back and I'll be like, what on earth was I thinking? And I'll like start again, and it sort of goes on a cycle. And it was really interesting because I just kept on I found looking back at all my like notes, I found that I had one idea and it just kept on building. And even though I sort of thought I was changing it, I was sort of going back to the same thing, which was like quite interesting looking at the process.
Yeah, I think for me, I didn't go in thinking that I would write something down for it. So when I was listening to it, it was with a kind of open mindset of I can play what comes to mind when we do it, kind of thing. And I think, that's something I enjoy. So that was how I approached listening to it. But I think, although I said before that it was dense, I think that opens a different kind of playing to work with.
Now what is going to happen is this. We are going to take turns soloing or playing our protagonist lines that we might have improvised or we might have composed, and we're going to play them over the new backing track we made just a minute ago. We are going to play where the verse of the Richard Dawson song was. That's where we're going to do our main protagonist playing, and then where the chorus was on the Richard Dawson we're going to keep the melody from the Richard Dawson chorus, which I've put on the screen in front of you, and we're all going to join in and play that in a kind of heterophonic cacophony type way. So that's how we'll mark out the verse and the chorus. For aspiring musicians at home, we're just going to show you a cut version because we gave everybody a go in our workshop, but we don't want to bore you with it. So we're just going to give you 3 examples of musicians playing their protagonist parts over the new backing track. And the rest of the ensemble will join in on the chorus, which you'll see. On the second verse, there'll be an opportunity for you at home to play your newly created protagonist line. And the rest of the ensemble will join you for the chorus. and we would really love it if you might be able to record your version of this and send it in to us at inspire@nyo.org.uk so we can hear what you got up to. And you might also like the opportunity to play it, to come to this stage in the video and practice playing with the backing track for a few days and see how your improvisational / compositional skills can grow in a relationship with this new backing track that we've made. Brilliant. That all looks fantastic. Because I can't hear it, and I'm really looking forward to putting together all your recordings, which we haven't actually heard as an ensemble, but the Inspire musicians at home will have heard as an ensemble. Please could we just have a couple of thoughts about how you thought that went in terms of your own playing or somebody else's playing, insofar as you could hear what was going on?
I could really hear like the lilt in Danushka's playing. It was like really kind of had a nice lilt to it, nice folky kind of.
By lilt, do you mean the rhythm, that iambic rhythm? Yeah. Thank you, Ruby. And I also really enjoyed both Tom and Danushka were playing around with those sevenths a lot. That F natural and the F sharp, which makes a difference between the Mixolydian tonality and the Ionian tonality, the normal major scale. And especially Tom, I like the way that you were playing it sounded at one point like you were playing that natural F natural, the Mixolydian seventh in the bottom octave, and possibly sometimes you were playing around with the F sharp in the top octave. So it sounded like, because in the Richard Dawson, it feels like the tonality changes from one to the other. But what it sounded like you were inflicting upon us, which is very joyous, was a tonality that was both Mixolydian and Ionian. And that major seventh was like an upper structure. There was an Ionian upper structure and a Mixolydian bottom structure. So that was great. Danushka.
I just found that I thought I was okay with the first, and the chorus just seemed to go on forever, and I was just like kind of run out of stuff after all. I was kind of had to keep like recycling ideas. But no, it was quite good fun. I enjoyed the first. Chorus started stressing at the end, but yeah.
Great, thanks. Yeah, that second chorus is a bit longer. If you do run out of ideas and want to get off the train, you can just, you can stop playing anytime you like, but also feel free to turn into the melody at the end.
Thanks so much for coming. Looking forward to receiving your protagonist part, your NYO 2021 Inspire applications, and hopefully seeing you in person sometime soon.